Hello, this will be the packet on dividing decimals. So let's take a look at what we're going to be covering today. So we are going to talk about dividing decimals by whole numbers, dividing decimals by decimals, being able to divide whole numbers by decimals, using a shortcut method when we divide with a 10, a 100, or a 1000, dividing to a fixed place accuracy, which actually is rounding to a certain place value, and applying our decimal division skills with word problems. So let's get started. Okay, if you'd like to pause the video and get your packet out, we'll be starting on page 86 with dividing decimals by whole numbers. Move down here and let's begin. So when you divide, I like to put a rule up for you here. When you're dividing, you want to remember, does McDonald's serve burgers? So each one of those first letters stands for something. So the does stands for divide. The McDonald's, you guessed it, stands for multiply. The serve stands for subtract. And the burgers stands for bring down. So that is the method we will be using when we do these division problems. So the first one we have is the one over here, 6 divided by 13.8. So I'm going to do that one on the right here. It'll be a little bit bigger. So we have 13.8 on the inside, and we have 6 on the outside. So when we do a problem like this, we're first going to do the divide. So we say, will 6 divide into 1? No, it's too small, right? 6 can't go into 1. Will 6 go into 13? Yes, 6 will go into 13, and you say, okay, divide. 13 divided by 6 is 2. So I'm going to put the 2 over the 3 because I took it into 13. Then I'm going to do my McDonald's or my multiply. 2 times 6 is 12. And write that below the 13. Draw a line. And serve stands for subtract. Now I'm going to subtract 13 minus 12. That's going to give me 1. And burgers stands for bring down. I'm going to bring down my 8. 6 goes into 18. I'm back to dividing again. Now I'm back to the does. 18 divided by 6 is 3, right? 3 times 6. Now I multiply. 3 times 6 is 18. Now I subtract. Does McDonald's serve? 18 minus 18 is 0. And there's nothing more to bring down, so I am finished. Except that I need to put my decimal right in the exact same spot of where it was in the original number. So my answer then is 2.3. Okay, we'll try another one. Let's move down a little bit here. And I'm going to erase this. And that, and that, and that. Okay, we'll keep the does McDonald's part. Okay, so if we go down to row 3, we have a problem written like this. And we'll also be looking at row 4, one like this. So when you have something like this, you have to know where to put your numbers. So on number 3, you are going to 76.8 divided by 16. So what goes on the inside of your long division sign? 76.8, yes. The 76.8 that is being divided by 16. So we're going to go like that, and we're going to follow our does McDonald's serve burgers. So 16 will not go into 7, so we have to go bigger. 16 into 76. So how many 16s will go into 76? Well, it's kind of a matter of trial and error. So I'm going to go and multiply on the right here. So I know 16 is close to 20. So if I was to go to 20, I'd go 20, 40, 60, 80. Let's try 4, even though I think that's going to be over just slightly. But let's take a look and see. 4 times 6 is 24. I put down the 4 and I carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. That's 64. And I realize if I was to do another 16, that would be over by 80, right? So 4 is going to be. So I'm going to put the 4 over the 6. And by the way, it's a good idea to write on the side on your scratch paper or whatever when you're doing a test to write these multiplication things out, because if you need to see the numbers you had used already, you can go back and look at it without having to recalculate your multiplication facts. So now we did the divide, 76 divided by 16. Now we're going to do the McDonald's or the multiply. So 4 times 16, which is what we did on the side. So we've got that answer there. We wrote it down so we can look back at it for reference. 76 minus 64 is next. That's our subtract part. 6 minus 4 is 2. 7 minus 6 is 1. And then the burgers part, the bring down. So I'm going to bring down my 8. And I can say again, it's about 120 or 130. This is about 20. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 7, probably 6 or 7. So let's try that. Let's multiply 16 times 7 and see what we get. Let's see. 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 4. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 4. 11, 112. Let's try 16 times 8 and see what that gives us. 16, I'm going to put myself out of the way here. 16 times 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4 is 12. So that's exactly 128. So the answer is going to be an 8 up here. Now I multiply. 16 times 8 is 128. And now I subtract. 128 minus 128 is 0. I have nothing to bring down, so I'm finished except for putting my decimal in. If it's right here, I've got to make sure I go up here and I put it in right in the same spot. So the answer to 76.8 divided by 16 is 4.8. Now let's look at number 4. I think I got a little bit of room here. I can do that one. I'll just do that in a different color. We can make a nice straight line this time like this. And we have 9.516 divided by 52. So the top number always goes on the inside. 9.516 divided by 52. 52. So I can't take the 52 into 9, but I can take it into 95. So it's about, if I had two 50s, that would be 100, right? That would be over. Since I have 52 and 52, that's still going to be over, and we only have 95 here. So we know it's going to be a 1. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that decimal in right away because I see it there. So 1 times 52, the multiply part is 52. 95 minus 52. 5 minus 2 is 3. 9 minus 5 is 4. 43. Now I'm going to bring down my 1 right here. So 52 into 431, that's about 50, right? So it's about 50 into 450 or 400. So 2 50s is 100. 4 50s is 200. 6 50s is 300. 8 50s is 400. So let's try 52 times 8, and I'm going to do a little bit of erasing here. Well, no, I don't think I can fit it over here. So 52 times 8 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. 5 times 8 is 40 plus 1 is 41. So that's probably as close as we're going to get, right? If we did another 50, we'd be over. So 8 is going to be the answer I put up here. 8 times 52 we wrote on the side there, so 416. Now we do the subtract part. So 3 becomes a 2. This becomes 11 minus 6, which is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then we bring down our 6. And we say how many 52s will go into 156? Now, probably 3, because that would be about 150. So 52 times 3 is 6. And 15, 156 exactly. So that's a 3. So that becomes 156. And you subtract 156 minus 156 is 0. And so the answer is 0.183 for that one. So let's erase what we got on the side here so we can get our answer in there. So if you want to put a 0 in front, you can, 0.183 or just 0.183. So that's how you do division with dividing decimals by a whole number. So now let's clear. And let's move on to dividing decimals by decimals. So this is page, let's go back up, 87. You want to turn over to page 87. Try a couple of these problems. So I'm going to cover up, get some white space for us here. And let's take a look at the first problem here. 0.8 divided by 7.68. We're going to do this again. We're going to go up, and we're going to go over, right? So 7.68 is on the inside. It's about 8, but it's there. And 0.8 is on the outside. 8s are hard. Okay, when you have a decimal on the outside number, the number that you are dividing by, you have to move the decimal out of the way first. So in order to do that, I have to move the decimal to the end of the number. Right now it's in front of the number, so I have to move it to the very end of the number. If I move the outside decimal 1 spot, because I jumped 1, I need to move the inside decimal 1 spot. So now the new decimal is placed right here. I'm going to go ahead and put that in up here right away so I don't get mixed up and I know where it's going. And now I just divide like I normally would. So does is divide. And see if I can get rid of that. So 8 can't go into 7, but 8 will go into 76. So how many times will 8 go into 76? 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 9 is 72. So it's going to be 9. That's as close as we're going to get. We're going to put the 9 over the 6 because we went into 76. We multiply. 9 times 8 is 72. We subtract. 76 minus 72 is a 4. We're going to bring down the 8. 8 goes into 48 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 minus 48 is 0. So the answer to that problem is 9.6. 9, oh, it's a bad 9. 9.6. There we go. Okay, let's take a look a little further down. It's clear. And take a look at what we would do if we had problem number 3 here. So on this kind of problem, same thing. We're doing the exact same thing. You have to remember which number goes on the inside and which number goes on the outside. So I'm going to go make a nice big house here for our numbers. So which number goes on the inside? Right, the first one, 0.8. Try to make a better 8 this time. 0.882 goes on the inside, and on the outside then is the 0.06. Now, because we have a decimal on the outside number, we have to get rid of it first. So we have to move it to the end of the number. So we have to jump 1 spot, 2 spots. So if I move the decimal 2 spots in that number, I also have to move the decimal 2 spots in this number. 1, 2. So my new decimal is going to go right there. I'm going to put it in the top right away so I've got it in the right spot. Now I just divide like I normally would. So I see that I have a 0.6 now. So let me just erase. Get rid of the dot now and get rid of that. The decimal has moved. That has moved. Okay. So now I can get rid of the 0, can't I? Because it's really just 6 now, isn't it? So 6 goes into 8 one time. 6 times 1 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. Bring down the 8. How many 6 go into 28? 4, right? 5 would be over. So 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract 28 minus 24 is 4. Bring down the 2. How many 6s in 42? 7. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 minus 42 is 0. So the answer is 14.7. So the answer to this one is 14.7. So on these problems, you just have to remember when you have a decimal on the outside number to move it first, and then move your inside decimal the same number of places you moved your outside decimal. Okay, we're going to clear that. We're going to move on a little bit. This is more of the same. It's just moving the decimal on the outside number more places. So if you, for example, if you look at number 5, you're moving the decimal 1, 2, 3 places. So you have to move this one 3 places. So if I was to move this decimal 3 places, it'd be 1, 2, 3. My decimal is going to go over there, and I have to fill in with a 0 in the empty spot. So, and these ones here, you're going to have to be filling in with zeros to make enough space. Okay, let's see. Rewrite each problem and divide. So let's do one of these, number 9. Let's do number 9 here. Right here. Let's do that one. So, make some white space here. We're going to divide. We're going to make our little division. And we're going to do 0.522 divided by 8.7. The top number is always on the inside. I'm dropping the 0. No sense in having that. 0.522. And 8.7 goes on the outside. So my first step is to move my decimal that's on the outside number away. So I'm going to move it 1 this way. So I'm going to move this one this way. I'm going to put it right in there right away. And now I just have 87 left, right? So I can just get rid of that now. I moved it. So I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, I just lost my white space. Okay, so how many 87s will go into 5? None. How many 87s will go into 52? None, right? But in this case, we're going to have to put a 0 here. So 0 times 87 is 0. And now we subtract. 52 minus 0 is 52. And we're going to bring down another 2. How many 87s in 522? Well, 87 is close to 100, so we could try 5. That's going to be too much or too little. Let's try 6. I think 6 is going to be just right. 6 times 7 is 42. 2 carry the 4. 6 times 8 is 48 plus 4. 49, 50, 51, 52. So that was exactly the right number. So we're going to put a 6 up here. 6 times 87 is 522. And we subtract 522 minus 522, and that gives us 0. So that answer is 0.06. So don't forget, you've got to put the 0 in that number when you're dividing. 0.06. Okay, we'll move on. Dividing whole numbers by decimals. So let's try number 2 right here. I'm going to try to put my white space back here. And we are going to say, okay, we have 63 on the inside, 63, and we're going to divide it by 0.007. So my first step is to move my decimal on my outside number. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 spots to get it to the end of the number, which then means we have to move the inside decimal 3 spots. Well, I don't see a decimal on this number, but realize that the imaginary decimal is always right after the number, because I could say 63.0 when that's the same as 63. So I'm going to put the decimal place here, but I have to move 3 to the right because I did that on the outside number. So I have to go 1, 2, 3 spots. My new decimal is going to go here. I'm going to extend my line a little bit here. I'm going to get a little more room. And I'm going to put my decimal back up right here. And I have to fill in my blank spaces with, you guessed it, 0. I have to fill in with a 0, and another 0, and another 0. So now I have 7, because I'm probably going to lose my white space again here. So I have my 7, let me get back here, and I can erase the 2 zeros in front now because 007 is really just 7. And I can start dividing. 7 goes into 6, none, right? 7 goes into 63. 7 times 9, right, is 63. Multiply 63 minus 63. I subtract. I get 0. But I'm not done because I still have to bring down all these zeros, right? So I bring down the next 0. 7 goes into 0, 0 times. 7 times 0 is 0. And you can see that you're going to end up with another 0. And you're going to have to bring down another 0. And 7 will go into 0, 0 times. 7 times 0 is 0. And subtract again, you'll get 0. And you're going to bring down one last 0. And look at that. So 7 goes into 0, 0 times. When you notice this, you can just put your 3 zeros up on top like that instead of going through this on the bottom here. 0 minus 0 is 0, right? So the answer to that problem is 9,000. So we'll put 9,000 as our answer. 9, 0, 0, 0. Comma in there. So 9,000. Okay, clearing. Move on a little bit. More of the same type of problems. Now here's our shortcut method. When you're dividing by 10, 100, or 1,000, you are moving your decimal just to the left. So 0.9 divided by 10, because I have 1 0 and 10, I'm going to move my decimal 1 to the left, and that will give me 0.0 9. 36 divided by 10, my decimal starts after the 36. And I'm going to move 1 to the left because I have 1 0 and 10. So that's going to end up becoming 3.6. Row 2, now I'm dividing by 100. Because there's 2 zeros in 100, I have to move my decimal 2 to the left. So if the decimal is here, I'm going to go 1, 2. My answer will be 0.142. The next one, I'm going to move 2 to the left because I'm dividing by 100. So if I move 2 to the left, I'm going to end up having to fill in with a 0 first, and then a 1, 3. Okay. Third row, I am dividing by 1,000. 1,000 has 3 zeros in it, so I have to move my decimal 3 to the left. Hopefully that's left on the video. So my decimal's here. I've got to go 1, 2, 3, and I have to fill in with a 0. So 0.0375. The next one, 1.8, I'm moving 3 to the left, which is going to end up being 2 zeros, a 1, and an 8. So that's a nice shortcut. You could do it long division wise, and you'll see that you will get those answers. But that's just a nice way of doing it quickly. It only works for 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, those kind of numbers with the zeros. Okay, let's clear that. Now, how to divide to a fixed place accuracy. So here's an example. Find the answer to 4.3 divided by 0.7. So they are moving the decimal 1 place to the right. You move the decimal 1 place to the right on the inside number. So now it's 7 into 43. And then they added 2 zeros there, but we would end up having to do that anyways. So it would be 42, and then they're going to bring down some zeros. So let me just show you how that works with the long division. They didn't write out all the steps. So we're going to write out the steps, and we can see what we're doing here. Oh, don't want that. I want a nice space to write on here. Okay. 2 divided by 1.8. So we're going to go up and over. 2 goes on the inside. It's the first number there. We're going to divide it by 1.8. First step is to move our decimal to the right. So we have a decimal, 10 decimal here. We got to move it 1 to the right. So now the new decimal is going to go here. And we have to fill in the empty space with a 0. So now we have 18 divided by 20. 18 goes into 20 one time. 18 times 1 is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. Now, I don't know if it told us, let me just scroll up for a minute. Find the answer to each problem. I kind of have to look at it here. I'll look at it on my paper here and see what the instructions tell us, how far to go to. It says, find the answer to each problem to the nearest tenth. Okay, so we are going to divide to the nearest tenth. So we haven't gotten there yet, so we're going to make sure we put our decimal in here. And we're going to keep going. We're going to add another 0, and we're going to bring it down. So 18 goes into 20. Again, it's going to be 1 time. 1 times 18 is 18. You can already kind of see what's going to happen here. 20 minus 18 is 2. And we're going to bring down one more 0 that we're going to add in there. 18 goes into 20. Yes, 1 time. 1 times 18 is 18. 20 minus 18 is going to be 2 again. And if we were to keep adding zeros and zeros and zeros and zeros, we would get 1.1111111 forever and ever and ever. So we want to round it to the nearest tenth. So the 10th place is this one right here. So we look to the number to the right of it. The number to the right of it is a 1. If it's 5 or more, we round the number to the left up 1. If it's less than 5, we keep the number to the left the same. So we're going to keep the circled 1 a 1. So our answer then is going to just be 1.1 for the nearest tenth. So you're going to have to, when you do these, depending on what the instructions are telling you, if they're telling you to divide and get round to the nearest tenth, you're going to have to go to the 100th place so you know if you have to round up or keep the number the same. If they tell you to round to the 100th place, then you're going to have to go to the 1000th place in your division so that you know whether you're rounding up or keeping it the same. So let's clear that. And our last part here is applying your division skills. So together, the 4 members of the Rosa family, number 1, weigh 508.8 pounds. What is the average weight? So average is going to be a hint that you'll be dividing of one member of the family. So how many together? The 4 members of the Rosa family, so there's 4 of them. So we are going to end up dividing 508.8 by 4 members of the family. So 4 will go into 5 one time. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down the 0. By the time you're done with this package, you're going to be really good at division. 4 goes into the 10 twice. 2 times 4 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. And again, we have another number to bring down. We're going to bring down the 8. 4 goes into 28 7 times. 4 times 7 is 28. 28 minus 28 is 0. So we have to bring down one more number to bring down the 8. 4 will go into 8 twice. And I want to make sure I put my decimal up here. And 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 8 is going to be 0. So 127.2 is, what is the average weight? We can say 127.2 is pounds. Pounds is the average weight. That's how you use this for word problems. So let's go back to our objectives here and see if we can do this now. Are we able to divide a decimal by a whole number? Yes. Are we able to divide a decimal by a decimal? Yes, that's where we have to move the outside decimal and then the inside decimal, right? Divide whole numbers by decimals. Yes, we can do that. We can use our shortcut with 10, 100, and 1,000. We can divide to a specific fixed place accuracy. That's where we round. In our case, we rounded to the 10th place. And then we're able to do word problems by applying our decimal division skill. So that is the end of this packet. And have a good day. See you next time. Bye.